Hello, and a huge, warm welcome back to English Made Easy. I'm Eleanor.
And I'm David. It's so good to have you with us. Here at English Made Easy, our entire mission is to help you learn English in the simplest, most natural way possible. We're here to strip away the confusing grammar rules and the scary sounding words and just talk like friends.
Exactly. We're so glad you chose to spend some of your time with us today because this is going to be a long conversation, a really, really deep one. And today's topic is a big one. It's something that touches every single one of our lives, no matter where we are in the world. We're talking about money, specifically how to save it, how to budget it, and how to think about it in a way that gives you power instead of stress.
It can be a nightmare for some people. It's a topic we're often taught to never discuss. It's considered rude or private. But that silence, that lack of open conversation, is what keeps so many people feeling lost and anxious. Our goal today is to break that silence. We want to make this topic feel manageable, maybe even a little empowering.
Along the way over the next hour, we're going to come across some fantastic, powerful English words. These aren't just vocabulary words for a test. These are the keys to unlocking more intelligent, more confident conversations about your finances, about your goals, about your life. Imagine being in a business meeting or planning your future with a partner and hearing a word that makes you feel small or lost. We've all been there.
By the end of our time together today, I promise you, you'll not only understand a whole new world of advanced vocabulary, but you'll know exactly how to use these words, when they feel right, and how to say them with the confidence of a native speaker. We'll show you the subtle, beautiful differences between words that seem similar so you can choose the perfect one to express exactly what you mean.
And here's the most important part. Practice with us. This is not a passive experience. When we say a new word, say it after us, even if you're just whispering to yourself on the bus or at your desk. I'll speak with the natural rhythm of a native speaker so you can get used to the music of the language. Let's make this an active, transformative lesson. Ready? Let's begin.
So, Eleanor, when you think about managing money, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Before the spreadsheets, before the apps, what's the feeling?
Honestly, it's a knot in my stomach, or at least it used to be. For years, I associated money with anxiety. It was this big, scary monster under the bed. It was a thing that stopped me from doing what I wanted to do. It was a limitation. And I think a lot of people feel that way. We inherit our feelings about money from our families, from our culture, and often those feelings are not very healthy. They are often ingrained.
That's a perfect word to start this journey. Ingrained. When a habit, an attitude, or a belief is ingrained, it is so firmly established that it's very difficult to change. Think of the grain in a piece of wood. It's part of the wood's very structure. Our beliefs about money can be like that, deeply embedded in who we are.
Let's get the sound of that one. It's just two parts. Ingrained, ingrained, ingrained. The stress is on that second part, grained. It sounds just like it's spelled. Ingrained. Try it. My fear of public speaking was deeply ingrained.
A synonym would be deep-seated or entrenched. So if your family always worried about money, constantly saying we can't afford that, a scarcity mindset might be ingrained in you. Even if you now have a good job, you still feel that old fear. The first step in changing your financial life is to look at these ingrained beliefs and ask, are they still true? Do they serve me?
That's such a powerful question, and it often leads to a fundamental choice in your financial philosophy, a choice between two very different approaches. I think you know the ones I'm talking about, David.
I do. It's the difference between being smart and being, well, being afraid. I think of my grandmother. She was the queen of saving. She grew up during a time of great economic hardship, and you didn't waste anything. Not a scrap of food, not a bit of string. She wasn't wealthy by any means, but she always had enough. She was incredibly frugal.
Oh, that is the perfect word for a healthy money mindset. Frugal. For everyone listening, let's break that down again because it's a cornerstone. When you say your grandmother was frugal, you're saying she was very careful and economical with her money and resources. It's about avoiding waste and being resourceful. It's a positive word that suggests wisdom and prudence.
Exactly. It has a strength to it. Let's get the sound of it right. It's just two parts. Repeat after me. Go. Frugal. The stress is right there on that first syllable. Frugal. A frugal person isn't cheap. They're intentional. They spend money on things that have value to them and cut back ruthlessly on things that don't.
A good synonym, a word that means something similar, would be thrifty or economical. So, being frugal might mean you learn to cook amazing meals at home instead of spending a fortune on restaurants. Or you buy high quality used furniture instead of cheap new stuff that will fall apart. It's a choice for quality and value over convenience and waste. It's about optimizing your life, not depriving yourself.
Right. A good example of being frugal is choosing to buy a high-quality, 3-year-old used car that'll last a long time instead of a brand new, expensive one that loses its value the second you drive it away. You're still getting a great car, but you saved thousands of dollars. That's a frugal decision. It's a strategic move.
But, there's a fine line. There's a point where that carefulness can curdle into something else. It stops being wise and starts being, well, a little extreme. Have you ever met someone who is so focused on not spending money that it actually makes their life worse or makes life difficult for the people around them?
Oh, absolutely. The kind of person who will never turn on the heat in the middle of winter just to save a few dollars and then they get sick and have to spend a fortune on medicine. They've crossed the line from being frugal to being parsimonious.
Yes, let's hold on that word. Parsimonious. It sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. It's a C2 level word, but you can master it. Parsimonious means being extremely unwilling to spend money. It's being stingy or cheap, often to a fault. Frugal is smart. Parsimonious is when it goes too far and becomes a negative quality rooted in fear.
It's a longer word, so let's take our time with the pronunciation. It has 5 syllables. Listen closely. Par, sa, mo, ni, us. Parsimonious. The main stress is on that third syllable, mo. Parsimonious. A parsimonious boss might refuse to buy new equipment for their employees, causing productivity to suffer. They think they're saving money, but they're actually costing the company more in the long run.
Once you've decided that you want to be intentional and frugal, you need a plan, a map. And in the world of money, that map is called a budget.
I can feel a collective groan from everyone listening. The word budget sounds like a punishment. It sounds like a diet for your wallet. It sounds like a long list of all the things you're not allowed to do anymore.
I used to feel exactly that way. For me, the big paradigm shift happened when I stopped thinking of a budget as a restriction and started thinking of it as a plan for freedom. A budget doesn't say, no, you can't have that. It says, yes, you can have that amazing vacation, and here's the plan for how we're going to make it happen.
It's about being proactive instead of reactive. The first, most fundamental action in any good budget is to allocate your resources. We touched on this word briefly at the start, but let's go much deeper.
To allocate something is to formally distribute it or assign it for a specific purpose. You are making a conscious decision. Companies allocate funds to their marketing department. A city might allocate resources to improve its parks. And in your personal budget, you allocate every single dollar of your income to a specific job.
Let's practice saying it again. It's 3 syllables and it feels strong and decisive. Kate. The stress is on the very first part. Allocate. Notice how the A at the end is a long A sound, like in late. Allocate.
Simple synonyms would be to assign or to earmark. The idea of giving every dollar a job is the core of what's called a zero-based budget. It sounds intense, but the concept is simple. Income minus expenses equals zero. It doesn't mean you have zero money. It means you have allocated every single dollar, even if that allocation is put into savings.
Let's make this real. Let's go back to our fictional student, Maria. Maria gets a part-time job, and after taxes, she brings home $1,500 a month. In a reactive world, Maria would just spend that money as bills came up and opportunities arose, and she'd probably run out of money before the end of the month. She'd feel that rising panic.
But proactive Maria sits down before the month begins. She makes a list of all her expected income, $1,500. Then she makes a list of her expenses, her financial obligations. She must allocate funds to cover them. She might allocate $600 for her share of the rent. She might allocate $100 for her phone and internet bill. These are her fixed costs. They are non-negotiable.
Then she thinks about her variable costs, the ones that change. She might allocate $250 for groceries. Now, here comes the most important part of the whole process. Most people would then figure out what they have left for fun. But the most powerful technique is to allocate money to your future self first. She decides to allocate $150 to her savings account. She treats it like a bill. It's a non-negotiable payment to future Maria.
I love that phrase, a payment to future you. After she's allocated money for rent, bills, groceries, and savings, she does the math. $1,500 minus 600 minus 100 minus 250 minus 150, that leaves her with $400. That $400 is her discretionary income for the month.
Let's lock in on that term because it's crucial. Discretionary. It comes from the word discretion, which means the freedom to decide what should be done in a particular situation. So this is your decision money, your freedom money.
Let's say it together. It's a four-syllable word with a lovely rhythm. Discretionary. The stress is on that second syllable, creche. Discretionary. A simpler way to think about it is optional spending. So Maria's discretionary income is what she uses for going to the movies, buying coffee with friends, a new book, or a new shirt. The magic here is that she now knows her limit. Her limit is $400 for the month. She can spend that $400 guilt-free. There is no anxiety because she knows her rent is covered, her bills are covered, and most importantly, her savings goal has been met. She bought her freedom.
This is the opposite of a bad budget. A bad budget is vague. It's just a general idea. I should probably spend less on food this month. That's not a plan, it's a wish. It's not actionable. A good budget is granular.
Ooh, I like that. Granular. It means highly detailed, looking at the small components of a larger system, like looking at individual grains of sand instead of just the whole beach. A granular budget doesn't just say $400 for fun, it might break it down further. Let's practice it. Granular. Stress on the first syllable, gran. The project manager needed a more granular report on the team's progress down to the daily tasks.
So a granular approach for Maria might be to take that $400 in discretionary income and allocate it even further. She might say $100 for restaurants, $50 for coffee, $50 for books, $100 for social events, and $100 for a miscellaneous category for unexpected fun things. Now she has an even clearer plan. When her friend asks her to go to an expensive concert, she can look at her granular budget and say, I've only got $100 for social events this month, so I can do the concert, but it means I'll have to say no to a few other things. It's an informed trade-off, not a panic reaction.
But how does she even know to allocate $250 for groceries or $50 for coffee? She can't just guess. This is where many people get stuck. They don't know what their numbers are. To make a realistic budget, you first have to look backwards. You have to become a detective of your own past. You have to scrutinize your spending.
We introduced this word earlier, but it is so vital to this stage of the process that we need to expand on it. To scrutinize something is to examine it with intense, critical, and minute attention. You are not just glancing at it, you are performing a forensic analysis.
Let's say it again. Scrutinize. The stress is on the first syllable, screw, and that eyes at the end sounds like the word eyes, scrutinize. You scrutinize a legal contract before signing it. A scientist will scrutinize their data to look for errors.
So, to prepare her first budget, Maria needs to get her bank and credit card statements from the last 3 months, and she has to scrutinize them. She needs a highlighter and a notebook. Every single transaction gets a category. That $5 coffee? Coffee. This $70 grocery run? Groceries. That $12 movie ticket? Entertainment. This process can be tedious. It can even be a little painful.
It can be very painful. You might discover some uncomfortable truths. You might realize you spent $300 on takeout food last month. It's easy to feel shame or judgment towards your past self, but that's a trap. A crucial part of this process is to be objective. You're not there to judge. You are there to gather data. You must be dispassionate.
Dispassionate. What a perfect word for that mindset. It means not influenced by strong emotion and so able to be rational and impartial. A good judge must be dispassionate when hearing a case. A journalist should report the news in a dispassionate way.
When you scrutinize your spending, you must be dispassionate. The number is just the number. It's information. It's not a judgment on your character.
Exactly. So after her dispassionate scrutiny of the last 3 months, Maria discovers she spends on average $240 on groceries and $65 on coffee. So her budget allocation of $250 for groceries and $50 for coffee is realistic. She's not setting herself up for failure by pretending she'll suddenly spend only $100 on food.
This is the biggest mistake people make. They create an aspirational budget, not a realistic one. They say, I'll spend zero on restaurants this month, when they spent $400 for the last 6 months. It's a recipe for disaster. You fail in the first week, you feel terrible, and you abandon the whole idea of budgeting. You have to start from the truth, from the data you gathered through scrutiny.
And your budget isn't the static document, a stone tablet. It's a living, breathing thing. You might try your budget for a month and realize, you know what, my social life is more important to me than I thought. I need to allocate more money there. So you look at your budget and decide where you can cut back. Maybe I can reduce my grocery bill by $50 by planning my meals better. You adjust, you iterate. It's a constant dance. The goal isn't perfection, it's awareness and intention.
Okay, so we've talked about the mindset and the mechanics of a budget. A huge part of that budget, as we mentioned with Maria, is allocating money to savings. But savings is such a broad term. It's not just one big pot of money. A smart financial plan has different savings buckets for different purposes. The most important one, the foundation of your entire financial fortress, is the emergency fund.
This is non negotiable. Life is unpredictable. Your car will break down. Your pet will get sick. You might lose your job. These things are not if, they are when. An emergency fund is the buffer between you and the chaos of life. It turns a potential catastrophe into a mere inconvenience. And for an emergency fund to work, the money must be liquid.
We need to be very clear about what liquid means in a financial context. It doesn't just mean water. A liquid asset is cash or anything that can be converted into cash very, very quickly without losing its value.
Let's pronounce that again. It's simple, just like the drink. Liquid.
Stress on the first syllable. Liquid. The money in your checking account is highly liquid. The cash in your wallet is perfectly liquid.
An opposite, as we mentioned, is an illiquid asset. Your house is an asset, but it is profoundly illiquid. You can't pay for an emergency car repair with a brick from your house. It can take months or even years to sell a house and get the cash. So, a bad example of an emergency fund would be putting all your savings into the stock market. While stocks are relatively liquid, their value can go down dramatically. You don't want to be forced to sell your investments at a huge loss because you suddenly need cash. That's a terrible position to be in.
The volatility is the problem. Another bad example is putting your emergency fund in a retirement account where you have to pay a huge penalty to take it out early. The money is there, but it's not truly accessible. A good example, the gold standard, is a separate high-yield savings account. It's not mixed with your everyday checking account, so you aren't tempted to dip into it for non-emergencies. But you can transfer the money to your checking account in 1 or 2 days. It's safe, it's accessible, it's liquid.
The standard advice is to have 3 to 6 months worth of essential living expenses in this liquid account. And we need to pause here and acknowledge how that sounds. For someone just starting out, that can feel like an impossibly large number. It can be daunting.
Daunting, that's the word. Something that is daunting makes you feel slightly frightened or worried about your ability to achieve it. It seems difficult to deal with in anticipation.
Daunting. It rhymes with haunting. The idea of climbing Mount Everest is daunting. For a new student, a 50,000-word script might seem daunting.
Exactly. And the daunting nature of a 6-month emergency fund can cause people to give up before they even start. It's a psychological hurdle. So the key is to break it down. Your first goal isn't 6 months of expenses. Your first goal is a starter emergency fund. Maybe it's $500 or $1,000. It's a small, achievable target. You get there by making it an automatic line item in your budget. You allocate $25, $50, $100, whatever you can afford, every single month. You set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to your savings account the day after you get paid. You make it mindless. And over time, that small, consistent effort begins to accrue.
Let's revisit that beautiful word for this process. To accrue means to be received by someone in regular or increasing amounts over time. It's a gradual, steady, powerful accumulation. Let's say it again. It has a lovely sound. Accrue. Accrue. The stress is on the second part. Accrue. To accrue. Your vacation days at work accrue over the year. The benefits of daily exercise accrue over time.
And the most magical thing about money is that when it's in a savings account, it accrues interest. It starts making its own money. This is the principle of compound interest, which is truly a phenomenal force. Your money starts working for you instead of you always working for your money. The small amounts you save begin to accrue and build a momentum all their own.
It's like pushing a heavy ball. At first, it's incredibly difficult. It takes all your effort to get it moving. But once it's rolling, it gets easier and easier to keep it going. Seeing your savings begin to accrue is the most powerful motivation there is. That daunting goal of a 6-month fund suddenly seems possible.
Once you have that emergency fund fully funded, you can move on to other savings goals. Maybe you want to save for a down payment on a house, or a new car, or a 3-month trip around the world. For these longer-term goals, you might use different savings vehicles, like investments. This is where you might decide to open an investment account and start buying stocks or bonds. The goal here is to make your money grow faster than inflation. This is a process of wealth augmentation.
Ooh, that's a very sophisticated term. augmentation. It means the action or process of making something greater in size or amount. It's about enhancement and expansion.
Let's pronounce it. Augmentation. You might use software for the augmentation of your photos. A company might seek a loan for the augmentation of its factory.
So, wealth augmentation is the process of growing your money. You move from the safety of an emergency fund to the growth potential of investing. This involves taking on some calculated risk. You have to be willing to see your investment values go up and down. You have to have the fortitude to stay the course during market downturns.
Fortitude. I love that word. It means courage in pain or adversity. It's mental and emotional strength. It's not about being fearless, it's about feeling the fear and acting anyway.
Fortitude. Stress on the first syllable.
She showed great fortitude during her illness. It takes fortitude to be an entrepreneur.
An investor needs fortitude. When the stock market drops 20%, the amateur investor panics and sells everything, locking in their losses. The experienced investor, who has a long-term plan, shows fortitude. They know that market cycles are normal, and they either hold on or even buy more while prices are low. This is how wealth is truly built over decades. It requires patience and an immense amount of emotional fortitude.
And it all starts with that simple, humble first step, paying yourself first, allocating a small amount from your budget, watching it accrue in a liquid savings account, conquering that daunting goal of an emergency fund, and then, with fortitude, beginning the journey of wealth augmentation. It's a long road, but it's a road to security and freedom. We've been painting a pretty optimistic picture here, Eleanor. Building a budget, saving for the future. It sounds wonderful. But for a huge number of people, there's a giant, fire-breathing dragon in the room that we haven't addressed yet. Debt.
You're right. It's a reality for millions. Student loans, credit card debt, car loans, medical bills. It can feel like you're trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much money you earn, it all seems to disappear into this black hole of debt payments. The weight of it can be completely overwhelming.
When a debt is that large and that overwhelming, there's a perfect word to describe how it feels. It feels onerous.
Let's pause and really feel that word. Onerous. It means a task, duty, or responsibility that involves a great deal of effort and difficulty. It is oppressively burdensome.
It has a heavy sound to it. Let's say it again. Onerous.
Onerous. Onerous. Onerous. The stress is on that first syllable, O. Just like the sound you make when you feel overwhelmed. Onerous.
The paperwork required to get a visa can be an onerous process. Caring for a very sick relative can be an onerous responsibility.
And a mountain of debt is absolutely onerous. It's more than just a financial problem. It affects your sleep, your health, your relationships. It's a constant weight on your shoulders. You feel that mental fatigue, that constant low-level anxiety. It's a form of bondage.
In the most extreme cases, when the debt is so large that a person or company simply has no possible way to repay it, they are considered insolvent.
That's a heavy, formal legal term. To be insolvent means that your liabilities, what you owe, are greater than your assets, what you own. You are unable to meet your financial obligations. It's the state of financial ruin.
Let's practice the pronunciation. It has 3 parts. Insolvent.
The stress is in the middle. Insolvent. It's the opposite of solvent, which means you do have enough money to pay your debts. After the economic crash, many small businesses became insolvent.
Now, being insolvent is an extreme situation that often leads to a legal process like bankruptcy. But many people feel the onerous weight of debt long before they reach that point. The key is to take action, to create a plan to fight the dragon. You can't just ignore it and hope it goes away. That's a pernicious fantasy.
Ooh, pernicious. That's an even stronger version of insidious. Something that is pernicious has a harmful effect, especially in a gradual or subtle way. It's not just harmful, it's evil and destructive.
It has a very negative feel. Let's say it. Pernicious.
Pernicious. The stress is on the niche. The idea that you can get rich quickly with no effort is a pernicious lie. Gossip can have a pernicious effect on the friendship.
So, the pernicious idea of ignoring your debt will only lead to more pain. The interest accrues, the debt grows, and the problem gets worse. A proactive approach is needed. And the first step is to understand what you're dealing with. Not all debt is created equal. There's a big difference between good debt and bad debt.
This is a crucial distinction. Good debt is typically money you borrow to purchase an asset that will increase in value or generate income. The most common example is a mortgage to buy a house. Historically, real estate values tend to go up over time. Another example is a student loan to get a degree that significantly increases your earning potential. You are using debt to leverage your future.
Leverage. In finance, leverage means using borrowed capital for an investment, expecting the profits made to be greater than the interest payable. You're using a small amount of your own money to control a much larger asset.
Let's pronounce that. Leverage. Or in some places, leverage. Both are common. The stress is on the first syllable. He used a small loan as leverage to start his successful business.
Bad debt, on the other hand, is borrowing money to buy depreciating assets or for consumption. A depreciating asset is something that loses value over time. The most common example is a car loan. The second you drive a new car off the lot, it's worth less than what you paid for it. The worst kind of bad debt is credit card debt, where you borrow money at an extremely high interest rate to pay for things like clothes, vacations, or dinners. You're paying interest for years on a memory.
The interest rates on credit cards can be absolutely exorbitant.
Exorbitant. What a word. It means unreasonably high. It's used to describe a price or amount charged that is far beyond what is fair or normal.
Let's say it. It sounds as dramatic as it is. Exorbitant. The stress is on that second syllable, exorbitant. The hotel charged an exorbitant price for a bottle of water. The fees for the concert tickets were exorbitant.
An 18% or 25% interest rate on a credit card is exorbitant. It makes it incredibly difficult to pay off the debt because so much of your payment is just going to interest, not the printable amount you actually borrowed. It's a trap designed to keep you paying for as long as possible.
So, what do? If you have this onerous, exorbitant credit card debt, how do you begin to fight back? You need a strategy. The two most popular debt repayment strategies are the debt snowball and the debt avalanche.
Let's break these down. They are both about building momentum. The debt snowball method is a psychological strategy. You list all of your debts from the smallest balance to the largest, regardless of the interest rate. You make the minimum payment on all your debts except for the smallest one. You throw every extra dollar you can find at that smallest debt. Once it's paid off, you feel this incredible victory. You then take all the money you were paying on that first debt and add it to the payment for the next smallest debt. The payment amount snowballs and gets bigger and bigger as you knock out each debt.
The strength of the snowball is that it gives you quick wins. It builds your motivation and your fortitude for the long fight ahead. It's about behavior modification. The debt avalanche method is the mathematically optimal strategy. You list your debts from the highest interest rate to the lowest, regardless of the balance. You make minimum payments on everything except the debt with the highest, most exorbitant interest rate. You throw all your extra money at that one.
This saves you the most money in interest over time, but it might take longer to get your first win if your highest interest debt also has a large balance.
There's no single right answer. The best method is the one you will actually stick with. If you need those early psychological victories to stay motivated, the snowball is for you. If you are a purely rational person who is motivated by saving the most money possible, the avalanche is for you. The goal is to have a methodical plan.
Methodical. It means done according to a systematic or established form of procedure. It's orderly, logical, and systematic.
Let's say it. Methodical. 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 The stress is on the thought. The scientist was very methodical in her research. He has a methodical approach to cleaning the house.
Whatever plan you choose, the goal is to alleviate the burden. And that word is so important here. To alleviate something is to make suffering or a problem less severe. You might not be able to eliminate the entire debt overnight, but you can take steps to alleviate the pressure.
Alleviate. A kind word can alleviate someone's sadness. A good plan can alleviate financial stress.
A practical way to alleviate debt is to call your credit card companies. Tell them you are having financial difficulty and ask if they have any programs to lower your interest rate. The worst they can say is no, but often they will work with you. That one phone call could save you thousands of dollars in interest and alleviate the onerous nature of your debt, making your methodical repayment plan even more effective. You have to be your own advocate.
So let's imagine someone has followed this path. They've shifted their mindset to be frugal. They've created a granular budget and stuck to it. They've built a liquid emergency fund. And they've used a methodical plan to pay off their onerous debt. They are in a position of stability and control. What comes next?
This is where the real fun begins. This is where you move from defense to offense. You start thinking about the long-term future, not just next month or next year, but decades from now. This involves thinking about retirement, investments, and creating a life where work is optional. And that requires you to understand a phenomenon that can secretly sabotage your progress: lifestyle inflation.
It has another, more common name: lifestyle creep. It's the idea that as your income increases, your spending also increases. You get a raise at work, so you get a bigger apartment. You get a bonus, so you buy a more expensive car. Your income goes up, but your savings rate stays the same or even goes down. It's an insidious trap that keeps people from ever getting ahead.
It's a version of what psychologists call the hedonic treadmill. Humans have an amazing ability to adapt to new circumstances. You think a new car will make you happy forever, but after a few months, it's just your car. The initial joy fades, and you need something new to get that same feeling of excitement. You're constantly running, but you're staying in the same place emotionally.
So the key to long-term wealth building is to be very intentional when you get a raise or a promotion. Instead of immediately upgrading your lifestyle, you decide to allocate at least half of that new income directly to your long-term savings and investments. You make a conscious choice to keep your lifestyle relatively the same. This creates a widening gap between what you earn and what you spend, and that gap is where financial freedom is born.
This requires a degree of austerity, but not in a negative way.
Let's clarify that word, austerity. It often has a negative connotation, meaning sternness or severity of manner. Or it can refer to difficult economic conditions created by government measures to reduce public spending. But it can also have a more personal, positive meaning.
In a personal context, austerity can mean a chosen simplicity of life. It's about finding joy not in possessions, but in experiences, relationships, and freedom. It's a voluntary and empowering form of simplicity. Let's say it. Austerity. Austerity. Austerity.
Austerity. Austerity. The stress is on the stir. The monk lived a life of austerity. Choosing to live a simple life of austerity can lead to great personal freedom.
So, by embracing a degree of voluntary austerity and avoiding lifestyle creep, you can dramatically accelerate your long-term goals. You can start investing more seriously. You'll want to diversify your investments.
Let's pronounce that. Diversify. The stress is on the ver. You should diversify your diet to get all the necessary nutrients. The company decided to diversify its product line.
The purpose of diversification is to mitigate risk.
Another fantastic C2 word. To mitigate something means to make it less severe, serious, or painful. It's similar to alleviate, but mitigate is often used in the context of risk or harm. You alleviate suffering, you mitigate a risk.
Let's say it.
Mitigate. Mitigate. The stress is on the first syllable. The city took measures to mitigate the effects of the flood. Wearing a seatbelt helps to mitigate injuries in a car accident.
So, by diversifying your investments, you mitigate the risk of one company or one sector doing poorly and wiping out your savings. If you own a tiny piece of 500 different companies and one of them goes bankrupt, it has a very small effect on your overall portfolio. It's a core principle of sensible long-term investing.
All of this knowledge, budgeting, saving, managing debt, investing, falls under the umbrella of financial literacy. It's the knowledge and skill set to manage your financial resources effectively for a lifetime of financial well-being. And as we said at the very beginning, this knowledge is often conspicuously absent from our formal education.
Let's revisit that wonderful phrase, conspicuously absent. To be conspicuous is to be very noticeable. So conspicuously absent means something is so obviously missing that it draws attention to itself.
Let's get the sound one more time. It's a long one. Conspicuously. Conspicuously.
Conspicuously. Conspicuously. The big stress is on that second syllable, spic. The star player was conspicuously absent from the team's victory celebration.
The fact that financial literacy is conspicuously absent from most school curriculums is a huge disservice to young people. It leaves them to figure out this incredibly complex and important part of life on their own, often by making painful and expensive mistakes.
But the fact that you are here, that you have listened this far, means you are taking action to fix that. You are taking it upon yourself to gain this knowledge. You are seeking to ameliorate your own circumstances.
And that is the perfect word to bring us toward the end. Ameliorate. It's a more formal and powerful way to say to make a bad or unsatisfactory situation better. It's about improvement.
It's similar to alleviate and mitigate, but the nuance is key. You alleviate pain. You mitigate risk. You ameliorate a situation. You are actively improving the underlying conditions of your life. Let's say it. Ameliorate.
Ameliorate. Ameliorate. The stress is on the second syllable, meal. The new laws were designed to ameliorate the working conditions in factories. Taking this course will help ameliorate the gaps in your knowledge.
And that is exactly what you are doing right now. Every word you learn, every concept you grasp is a tool you can use to ameliorate your financial situation and, by extension, your life. You are moving from a place of anxiety and reaction to a place of knowledge and intention. You are becoming the architect of your own future. This entire long conversation, all these words, all these strategies, they all serve that one single profound purpose.
It's not about getting rich, not really. It's not about having a fancy car or a big house. It's about having choices. It's about having the freedom to design a life that is authentic to you. It's about security. It's about peace.
We've spent all this time building this incredible picture of a person taking control of their financial life. They're being frugal, they're budgeting, they're investing with fortitude. They are the sole captain of their own ship. It's a very empowering, individualistic journey. But for most of us, at some point, it stops being just my money. It becomes our money. And that changes everything.
It really does. You bring another person into the equation, a partner, a spouse, and you're not just merging your lives, you're merging your financial histories, your habits, and those deeply ingrained beliefs we talked about at the very beginning. It's a topic that is just so incredibly fraught with emotion.
Oh, that word is perfect. Fraught. When a situation or a course of action is fraught with something, it is full of that thing, especially if it's something unpleasant like danger or difficulty. A journey fraught with peril, a negotiation fraught with tension.
Let's get the sound of that. It's a single syllable, but it feels heavy. Fraught. Fraught. It rhymes with caught or bought. The atmosphere in the room was fraught with anxiety. For many couples, the topic of money is fraught with years of unspoken expectations and fears.
Exactly. It's one of the biggest sources of conflict in relationships, and it's almost always because we don't know how to talk about it. It's the ultimate taboo, isn't it? It's often seen as impolite or unromantic to talk about money, especially early in a relationship. But avoiding the conversation doesn't make the issues go away. It just lets them fester. The foundation of a successful financial partnership is the same as any partnership: honesty. Absolute, sometimes uncomfortable honesty. The key ingredient is candor.
Candor. That is the word for the antidote for this problem. It means the quality of being open, honest, and sincere. It's about frankness, speaking the truth without hiding anything. It's a word that implies both courage from the speaker and respect for the listener.
Let's get the sound of that again. It's simple and strong. Candor, candor, candor. The stress is right at the front. Candor. I was impressed with the candor with which she admitted her mistake. He spoke with surprising candor about his financial struggles.
But how do you even begin a conversation that requires so much candor? You can't just walk in and say, "Show me your bank statements." That would be a disaster. You have to approach the topic with a great deal of tact.
Yes, tact. That's the delivery mechanism for candor. Tact is the skill and sensitivity you use in dealing with others or with difficult issues. It's the ability to say a difficult thing in a kind and considerate way to avoid causing offense.
It's a very soft-sounding word, just one syllable, tact. It sounds exactly like the word tact, as in, I tacked a notice to the board. But the meaning is all about social grace. A bad example would be saying, "You're terrible with money, we need to talk." That's an attack. A good example, an approach with tact, would be saying, as we get more serious, I think it would be really healthy for us to talk about our financial goals and how we can work on them together. It feels like an important step for our future.
That framing is everything. It's not an accusation, it's an invitation to build something together. Once you've opened the door with tact, you can have the money date. This is where the candor comes in. And it's not just about sharing numbers, it's about sharing your financial provenance.
Ooh, that's a beautiful and very precise C2 word, provenance. It means the place of origin or the earliest known history of something. It's often used for works of art or antiques. The painting has a clear provenance, tracing it back to the artist's studio.
Let's say that. It sounds very sophisticated. Provenance. 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 The stress is on that first syllable, prov. In our context, your financial provenance is your money story. It's not just what you do with money, but why. You talk about your family. Did they save everything? Did they live paycheck to paycheck? What were the money lessons you learned as a child? Sharing your provenance helps your partner understand the emotional software you're running.
So a bad money date is just a cold exchange of numbers. A good money date is an exchange of stories. I'm a super saver because I saw my parents lose their business, and I've always been terrified of that kind of instability.
I tend to spend freely because I grew up with very little, and now that I have money, I want to enjoy it. This level of candor about your provenance builds empathy. It stops being about right and wrong, and it starts being about understanding.
But what happens when that candor reveals something truly shocking? What if one person, after promising honesty, reveals they have a prodigious amount of secret credit card debt?
Prodigious. Now that's a word for a big problem. It means impressively great in extent, size, or degree. It means enormous, huge. It's a step above large.
It has a sense of awe to it, even if it's a bad thing. Prodigious. 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 The stress is on the middle syllable, dig. He had a prodigious appetite, eating 5 meals a day. The company had to deal with a prodigious amount of data. If someone has a prodigious secret debt, the revelation can make the entire relationship feel suddenly very fragile, very unstable. It can feel precarious.
Precarious. That word perfectly captures the feeling. If a situation is precarious, it is not securely held in position and is likely to fall or collapse. Or it's a situation that is dependent on chance, uncertain.
Let's say it. It sounds a bit like its meaning. A little wobbly. Precarious. Precarious. The stress is on care. The climber was in a precarious position on the side of the cliff. After he lost his job, his financial situation was precarious.
Discovering a prodigious secret debt makes the couple's future feel incredibly precarious. This is a crisis point. It's not just about the money, it's about the deception.
And this is where the couple has to make a hard choice. Is this a one-time mistake born of shame, or is it a pattern of deceit? Handling this requires immense grace. It's often the point where professional help, like a financial therapist or a credit counselor, is needed. The goal is to move forward, but you can't just gloss over it. You have to find a way to reconcile the two realities, the relationship you thought you had and the one you actually have.
Let's dig deeper into that word, to reconcile. We mentioned it means finding a way for two opposing ideas to coexist. This is the heart of financial partnership. It's a constant act of reconciliation. You have to reconcile your different incomes. You have to reconcile your different spending habits. And you have to reconcile your divergent goals.
Divergent, a great word. It means tending to be different or develop in different directions. It's the opposite of convergent.
Let's say it. It feels like it's moving apart. Divergent. Stress on the verb. Let's say it. It feels like it's moving apart. Divergent. Divergent.
The third and often most successful model is the hybrid approach. It's a mix of the other two.
Hybrid. A simple but vital word. It means a thing made by combining two different elements. A hybrid car combines a gas engine and an electric motor.
Let's say it. Hybrid.
Hybrid. Hybrid.
Hybrid. Stress on high. The hybrid model in finance usually involves 3 accounts: yours, mine, and ours. You each keep your own personal checking accounts, but you also have a joint account. You figure out your total shared expenses for the month, and you each contribute a proportional amount of your income to that joint ours account. The rest of your money in your personal account is yours to manage as you see fit.
This hybrid model is brilliant because it is designed to prevent acrimony. Remember that sharp, bitter word, acrimony, the bitterness and ill feeling. A huge source of acrimony is arguments over small, personal purchases. With the hybrid system, those arguments disappear. If you want to spend your personal discretionary money on an expensive hobby and I want to spend mine on fancy dinners with my friends, that's fine. We don't have to justify it to each other because our shared obligations are already met.
It's all about creating a system, a protocol that minimizes conflict. A protocol, that agreed upon code of conduct, is your best defense against resentment. And that protocol should include rules for communication, especially when disagreements happen. A good rule is to banish the language of blame and recrimination.
Recrimination. That's a word you hear in very bitter arguments. It is an accusation in response to one from someone else. It's the, yeah, well, you did this, that immediately follows an accusation. It's a counterattack.
A conversation full of recriminations sounds like this. You spent too much on groceries this week. Well, you're the one who just bought that expensive video game. Nothing is solved. It's just a cycle of blame. Part of the protocol should be to use I statements. Instead of you spent too much, you say, I'm feeling anxious when I look at our grocery budget. Can we look at it together and make a plan? It completely changes the energy of the conversation.
All of this work, the tact, the candor, the reconciling of divergent paths, the bilateral agreements, is what allows a couple to build a financial life that is truly symbiotic, a mutually beneficial relationship where the whole is far greater than the sum of its parts. And this strong financial core does more than just build wealth. It serves to buttress the entire relationship.
To buttress. What a fantastic structural word. A buttress is a structure of stone or brick built against a wall to support or strengthen it. As a verb, to buttress something means to provide it with support or reinforcement.
Let's say it. It sounds strong. Buttress.
Buttress.
Stress on the first syllable. The new evidence was used to buttress his argument. A strong financial plan can buttress a marriage against life's unexpected storms.
And that is the ultimate transformation. A couple can go from a state where money is a fraught topic that makes their future feel precarious to a state where their shared financial strength actually buttresses their bond. When a job loss happens or a medical emergency strikes, they don't turn on each other, they turn to their shared plan. Their teamwork and financial stability become a source of immense comfort and security, allowing them to face anything the world throws at them together. It proves that money doesn't have to be a destructive force in a relationship. When handled with honesty and teamwork, it can be one of the most powerful tools you have to build a shared dream.
And once that dream is built, the nature of the conversation changes again. It's no longer about climbing the mountain. It's about the view from the top. The day-to-day financial stress dissolves, and it's replaced by a profound sense of calm, a kind of financial equanimity.
Equanimity. That's the ultimate prize in all of this, isn't it? It's mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially in a difficult situation.
You stop being just a manager of your money, and you become a steward of it. Stewardship is the idea that you are carefully and responsibly managing something entrusted to your care. It's not just your money anymore. It's the foundation for your family's future, for your children, for the causes you believe in.
That shift from manager to steward is the final graduation. It's when money becomes a true tool for good, not just for survival. It completes the journey from personal anxiety to a shared, lasting legacy.
Because in the end, money is just a stand-in for the time and energy you trade for it. And managing it well is how you buy back your own life. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. It really means a lot that you chose to spend your time learning with English Made Easy. If you found even one idea here useful, please give this video a like. It helps more learners just like you discover our channel. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss our next lesson, tip, or practice session. When you support the channel, you're not just helping it grow, you're also helping us create even more free content for learners all around the world. Together, we're building a community where English becomes easier, step by step. I'd also love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let me know your biggest challenge in learning English. Your feedback helps me create videos that truly match your needs. Thanks again for being part of English Made Easy. Keep practicing, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next video.